These videos are a sneak preview of a larger course to be published later. We welcome your comments, corrections, and recommendations for improvement. Voodoo dolls sold separately. Welcome back, and thank you for enrolling in the course. In this part, we are going to present general principles that provide the context for our later specific work of securing REST web service applications. It's a dangerous world out there. Hackers, social engineers, spies, and terrorists are constantly attempting to break into your country, your businesses, your homes, and online accounts to steal your identity, your private, confidential, top secret information, reputation, and money. Assuming that you work in the field of creating and maintaining information systems in general and Spring Boot REST web services in particular, this is a course about how to protect yourself and your customers from the most common attacks to which your apps will be vulnerable. Let's talk about threats. When we say threats, what do we mean? What exactly is being threatened? It is primarily our proprietary data and secondarily our application functionality. We can talk about three aspects or dimensions of our data and functionality that are under threat. Confidentiality, meaning the proprietary, private, and/or secret nature of some of our data and the means of getting access to it. Integrity, being synonymous with health, accuracy, reliability, trustworthiness, etc. of our data. The confidence that we have that our data has not been and will not be accidentally or maliciously altered or corrupted in any way that would violate business rules or property rights. And availability, providing timely access to data and functionality to authorized persons, not unauthorized persons, and external systems, aka people who have a need and a right to access. In considering the aspects of our data and functionality that are under threat, we may invoke the DAD or DAD triad: disclosure, alteration, and denial. Disclosure meaning data loss or data exfiltration, which is a violation of confidentiality. Alteration being the unauthorized change or modification, violation of integrity. And denial, the disruption or impediment of legitimate operation and/or access, a violation of availability. In order to protect confidentiality, we first need to define who or what should have the ability to do what with which resources, and then apply rules and mechanisms to facilitate and/or deny access to artifacts with secrets, tokens, special devices, documents, and/or controls. Passwords come to mind as a tip of a large iceberg. Defending integrity means to not permit accidental or malicious modification of data which would violate the consent of the owner, business rules, private property rights, regulations, or laws. And defending availability means to keep application systems running and open for business, accessible to users according to contracts and service level agreements. Now, availability is mostly the purview of system administrators, not developers, and so we will not be addressing this issue in depth in this course. So of all the threat dimensions, we might say that confidentiality is king, since without it, the others are moot. Integrity and availability would be at the mercy of bad actors. What do we need to keep confidential, that is, secret? Broadly speaking, there is proprietary data and the means of access to that data, typically passwords, badges, email accounts, phones, etc. Personally identifiable information, or PII, ranks at or near the top of the list of confidential information to defend, both in its own right and as the keys to unlocking other confidential information. Social security numbers, bank account numbers, credit card account numbers, driver's license numbers, passports, birth certificates, physical traits, fingerprints, retina scans, iris scans, facial descriptions, or recognition. Now, I noticed in one textbook it said that frequent flyer account numbers don't qualify as PII. Well, maybe not legally, I'm not sure about that, but I don't want some thief flying around the world on my hard-earned miles, so I say, yes, they do. One very important threat modality is what is known as social engineering, whereby crooks use all manner of devious practical and psychological methods to trick you into revealing PII and/or your account passwords, right up to cutting to the chase and transferring to them your hard-earned cash. The greater the quantity, the better. They do this by any and all communication media, from emails to phone calls to web pages which may spoof or look like a trusted site where you have a legitimate account. They use impersonation of someone you would be expected to trust, manipulation to create a state of anxiety in the victim being you, using tactics of intimidation or even threats. We will murder your grandma if you don't send us the money right away. Social engineering is mostly beyond the scope of this course, but being one of the most powerful threats out there needs to be mentioned while we are establishing the general context of our work. In your studies of social engineering, here is a short list of terms and subtopics that you are likely to encounter. Phishing and its derivatives, spear phishing, vishing, schmishing, and whaling. Spam, which I think is an insult to the honorable canned meat, but I digress. Hoax, impersonation, pretexting, and many other terms. Let's consider another concept about our confidential, proprietary, secret, and/or personal information. Data at rest, data in motion or in transit, and data in processing. Data at rest is data, for example, stored on your hard drive, on a thumb or USB drive, on a network disk or a cloud storage system, and exists and requires protection even when the power is turned off. A password or account number scribbled on a sticky note or a cocktail napkin could also be considered data at rest. Data in motion or transit means data being sent over a network between and among two or more computers. A browser application calling a web service, which calls another web service in the same or a different network or cloud, which calls a database, are all examples of data in transit, which present many vulnerabilities. Data in processing is the data that is being operated upon by a running program, held in volatile memory, operated upon by algorithms, passed from one layer to another within the same process. Data in this state can be vulnerable just as it is, but particularly so if it is written out to another form like log text files or core dumps, which are memory images which may be written by the operating system when programs crash. In our next discourse in this part, let's talk about the consequences of failing to defend against these threats.